And you've just heard Notice Me by The Morning Early, a track from their album, which is also called The Morning Early, and that's out now on the Last Night from Glasgow label. And I'm joined by Stephen, Andy, Joe, and Drew from the band now. Hello, everyone.
How you doing?
Hi,
Hello.
hi, Alec.
How are you, Alec?
I'm really well. And before we get into the album, there's a local, since I'm on CamGlen Radio right now, there's a local connection. So, what is the local connection with this area?
So three of us are from the area. Went to Cathkin High School, which I believe is your former ground as well. So,
Was I?
so that's our connection.
I actually still live in Rutherglen. I live in Fernhill.
All right, excellent. No, it's
Oh,
one of
nice.
the reasons I am asking that is because a few people, some of whom I haven't heard from in years, have got in touch and said, "Oh, have you heard The Morning Early? I've got an album out, a local band, local band." So the support in and around the place is definitely there.
Nice. Good stuff.
That's good to hear, man.
And so this is your debut album, is that right?
It is indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now,
Taken a while to get to it, but
I
it's
was going to say, because you guys have been around, I mean, I know not consistently, you've taken breaks and stuff, but you've been around since the 90s, is that right?
yeah. Initially started off as well. We met in school, and the band started off when we were in school together. And
we were speaking about it earlier. It was Cathkin Capers.
Yeah,
at Cathkin High.
Yeah.
I remember it well.
Even come in for that.
So yeah, that kind of kicked us off, and we played together for a while, and then I kind of finished up uni and left, and that was kind of it for me for almost 25 years. And the other guys had played in another band, the Fast Camels, and I'd gone back to see them one night, and we decided after that we might get back in the studio just and have a wee bit of fun again and relive old times and get back together for a night of rehearsal. And one thing led to another.
Yeah. Grew arms and legs.
And so did it feel like unfinished business, or was it more just, we enjoyed playing before, let's get back to doing it again?
I think we were just excited to jam again. That was the point of it, but it turned out that in Stephen's absence, he had quite a list of songs, but he played us one. We loved jamming it that night. So we just thought, well, let's get another rehearsal on the go. Let's get another, do you think we could play a gig? And it started off like that. And then Stephen would say, why don't you bring one? And then before you knew it, let's do an EP. And now here we are, releasing an album. So it all just came from that.
So Stephen, you were still writing songs on your own, solo stuff?
Yeah, just mucking about really, to be honest, but no real sort of impetus to do anything with it. It was just a bit of fun mucking about in the house and writing stuff. But not really an accomplished musician for me, so it was really just a bit of fun myself, and getting back in to the studio with a group of guys that you'd known for years, and there was no real sort of nerves about it. It was just a bit of fun, really, going back. So, but I think it gelled really quickly again. It was felt like we'd never been away, and there was new songs coming from everywhere. And as Drew said, we kind of then decided to start recording, and what started off as the idea of maybe a single or an EP, all of a sudden kind of snowballed from that, and there was an album out of it.
And when did Last Night from Glasgow get involved?
Well, we kind of finished recording the album. We were just planning on self-releasing, to be honest. And I kind of signed up to Last Night from Glasgow and got chatting to Ian in the shop, just talking through what options there were, and he's obviously got the label and the cartel bit of that, which is what we've worked through with him in terms of self-funding. So it was as Ian had said at the start, he wasn't really fussed about the music. It's more about people for him, and so we kind of got chatting and got talking about music and in the shop, and yeah, he was keen to do something with it. So yeah, it's just, as I say, kind of rolled on from there.
And how did you approach making the album? Was it you had songs there, or did you work in a studio, or how did it work?
We rehearsed in Berkeley, Berkeley in Glasgow.
Yeah.
So we just do what probably a lot of bands do. We just rehearse in there. We do a little bit here, which is Andy's house. We're in just now, our guitar player. Andy's the only one that's not from Rutherglen, so is he allowed to speak tonight? Or
of course he can. We welcome one and all.
I've positioned myself off to the side, being the interloper that I am, you know. So, but yeah, we just, like Drew says, we just take the songs into the studio. Stephen comes up with one, Joe comes up with some, Drew comes up with a lot. But just, I don't come up with so many myself.
Joe and I had been writing a bit together as well in the other band, so we had a few things spare as well.
I think that helped. The fact that we've been in another band and continuously making music and releasing music. When we started doing this project, once we started to see the songs come together, we knew how to set about them because we've been there before, you know. So I think that helped the process move very quickly. So we had an album together in no time at all. It was ridiculous actually how quickly it went. A few months and that was it, like 12 tracks.
No, with an intention only to release, only to make and release with 3 or 4 songs or something like that on an EP, and the next thing you know, it turned into like the whole album's worth of songs within weeks, you know. So it was quite good that way. It was just all sprung out, you know.
And even at that, some of the songs were written in the 90s, like one or two of them, and then we kept them because we still rate them as good wee pop tunes, and they're very hooky. So why not?
Yeah, like Notice Me was a 90s track.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can hear that kind of period of time on the album as well. But it's interesting you say that because I thought particularly Notice Me. And the reason I picked that is, it was a single, wasn't it? You released it.
Yeah.
And I think it really kind of sets people up to kind of what the rest of the album's like. And later on, I'm going to play Another Day, Another Century, which is quite different, more acoustic.
Yes.
Yeah, it was one of Drew's.
That was one I had to bring. You know, when Stephen says, "Can you bring anything?" I was like, "All right, okay, we'll try and get something together." So that's one of those ones.
So that's how you did with the actual recording of it. Was that in a studio?
Yes, we recorded. Do you know? It's in Glenwood Studios in Castlemilk.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah, I know where you are. Yeah,
we know the producer very well there, so we went up there and recorded. But it was great. We just. I don't know if we want to talk about that song yet, but some songs we just jammed in the studio very live. That one we kind of jammed from acoustic up the way.
Layered it.
So the kind of older songs, were they almost finished and you just had to think, well, that's how we played them, or did you do something new with them?
No, definitely. What you hear is what they were.
Yeah.
What you hear is what they were.
There were only 2 old ones that.
Yeah, in your mind, and Notice Me on the album.
As far as I can remember, they're very like the way you used to play.
Structurally, they're exactly the same. But the difference we've got is Andy now. So he brings a whole sound. Like the Morning Early sound, a lot of it brings a whole sound.
Different dynamic to this
man. The guitar playing and the sounds that he brings has made it what it is now.
We just couldn't find one in Rutherglen, so
I was going to say you had to go outside the county to kind of to find someone. Well, and I'm interested in what you found the differences are between playing and making music in the 90s to today.
I think when I joined the band, I got a bass guitar for my birthday. I couldn't even play it. The bass player had left the band, and I decided I wanted to be in a band. So that was kind of the level of musicality probably then. But we had loads of songs, but we were doing gigs and playing. We were writing a song on the Tuesday and playing it in a gig on the Saturday. There was just no thought for how good the music was or no quality control at all. It was just volume, but it seemed kind of so easy back then to do it. I think
I don't know how good we sounded though.
No, that's true. We think there's more quality control now than probably there was back then.
I think that's the big difference between back then and now. You know if you've got something that's good or if it's rubbish. We can tell pretty quickly, and so can you.
And you think that's purely down to making music over the years that you can recognize very quickly what works?
Yeah,
I think so. And
you just expand your musical vocabulary a bit. Well, back then you're in high school, you don't really know enough to make. I mean, some people can be that age and make absolutely thoroughbred songs. A few people, but no. Usually, you have to spend a few years and get more in your head, and then you get your talent sharpened a wee bit, and then you can get there a lot quicker.
I think personally, you've got to write a lot of bad ones. You know, you still got to write a lot of bad ones.
And we do.
I think
Is there a big back catalogue of
Yeah.
stuff that do not touch?
There's in a drawer somewhere in my house. There is a set of recordings on cassette from C Sharp Music Factory in the 90s.
That's to be taken out, is it? So you played live a lot back in the 90s. That was part of what you did.
Glasgow, yeah. I don't think they played outside Glasgow, but they played a lot of Glasgow dates.
We joined up. Drew's brother plays as well. Neil, so his band, the Golden Hour, we played quite a bit with them. And we had a few reasonable gigs. We supported Bad Manners once, I think, in the Cat House, which is a bit of an odd union of bands. But
do you remember venues like the Rat Trap, the Cat House, and
the Arena?
The Arena, that was good fun.
What about the Vale? You remember the Vale?
Vale, is that a pub?
Yeah, next to Queen
next
Street
to Queen
train
Street,
station.
yeah.
We played our first 4 gigs in there.
Yeah. We were a regular occurrence in there.
I think the first song we played a bad 18 songs as well.
Yeah.
Three back-to-back songs. It was horrible for us and the listeners.
It's amazing how many venues are no longer there from that.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the big differences is gigging.
Yeah.
The gigging's not the same now. It's not as easy to do it.
Well, I think there's not as many places that'll have live music of a certain size, you know. That's what I think. It's difficult for people to find them. You reminded me about the Cat House. I had a pal who managed to fall from the very top to the very bottom of those stairs in the Cat House. He was so drunk, he kind of got up at the bottom and survive it. And what about playing live today? Have you been doing that? Is that something you're going to be doing in the future as well?
Oh yeah, I've got gigs planned for this year. The last gig we played was in the south side, believe it or not, and you know McNeil's, the pub McNeil's.
Yeah, I know it well.
That was a great wee
night.
Yeah,
good night.
Upstairs.
Upstairs.
Yeah. So that was back in March, and we've got a gig organised through Last Night from Glasgow actually in stereo on the 12th of September. So we're supporting the Milltown Brothers. Playing with the Muldoons as well, so that should be a good big gig for us. We've not really pulled together a launch yet for a kind of formal launch yet for the album as well. So I think we need to try and do something to that for that as well. So.
And if you want to be on the guest list, Sally, that would be we can make that happen.
That would be fantastic. Thank you very much. And actually, people listening, in terms of getting the album, which is available on vinyl, and getting tickets, is the Last Night from Glasgow website the best place to go?
Yeah, that's the place to go. There's a few other record stores, but definitely through Last Night from Glasgow, you get access to the tickets and the records. Yeah.
Where did the name come from? The Morning Early.
Over to Stephen.
Well, we were originally known as the Cheese. That was the name of the band back in the 90s, and I think we all kind of as we regrouped and rejoined, realised that it had probably run its course. To be fair, so the Morning Early actually, we were thinking of names, a variety of different names, and kind of struggling to get anywhere. It's actually from Up in the Morning Early, the Burns poem. So that's where it's from.
That's why I asked, because I wondered if that's where it was from.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased that I'm quite proud of myself for noticing that. Another question I wanted to ask you is, how did Colin McCready come to take the album cover photo?
Again, over to you.
That was a random Twitter exchange. So he had posted along a good while ago, actually, before we'd even thought about releasing an album. He had posted a few photos and suggested that these might make great album covers. So stupidly, I responded back to him and said, well, if you're offering them up, we'll take that one, please, and use that. So it kind of started as a Twitter exchange, which grew arms and legs and actually ended up in us getting the album cover, which is great. And oddly enough, he emailed me this morning randomly with another 15 photos suggesting that we do a second album. And we use one of them as well. So we'll take him up on the offer, but it was really kind of him. Once he cleared it with his mate who's in the photo, we were good to go. But I think it kind of fits with the early morning theme.
Yeah, it's a great cover, and I know Colin is a big music fan as well. And in terms of influences on the band, are they right across the board? Do you share them, or are they quite varied?
I think they're very varied. Yeah. That's what I would say. I mean, we spoke about it earlier on. but there is an indie sound in a couple of them from the 90s, like you said. But we're also big fans of 60s period, you know. I think that's pretty clear when you listen. But anything else you would say?
I mean,
Andy's style of guitar playing is very different as well. So I think there's a big mixture of everything in each song. You know, it's like, I don't know.
I mean, West Coast 60s stuff was, you know, American stuff. Neil Young, Teenage Fan Club. I mean, it's a pretty big eclectic mix of stuff, and I think there is quite a varied bunch of tracks on the album, as you said. I mean, I think the difference between Another Day, Another Century, and Notice Me, the two tracks you're playing is probably reflects some of that varied taste in music.
And I mean, I think, listen to it, it is a kind of classic pop sound that you've got. You know, it fits in all of those descriptions that you've said. It could have come from quite a few periods, really, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned playing live. When people do come to see you live, what's that kind of experience like? Is it kind of classic rock sound, indie rock sound?
Well, certainly louder.
I think we've not really got the blend of the acoustic stuff into the live sets yet. We are we're probably going to try and do a little in-store in Last Night from Glasgow and do some acoustic tracks, and that's kind of what we're working on tonight. Because it'd be good to get that blend into the sets. It's been much, as you say, much louder.
It's loud.
Yeah.
It'd be nicer to get the harmonies out there as well, top of all the music. You know, that's what we're struggling to hear ourselves.
It's an important part of this band, the harmonies.
Yeah, absolutely. That comes across in the record.
Yeah, we work hard at them.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know though.
I know.
If you came to see us live.
When you go to try and do it live,
I would need to perfect it.
And would anyone who had seen you at CamGlen Capers back in the day recognise that this is the sound of the band?
There's another story to that. We didn't actually turn up to the.
No, we didn't do it.
Do you know what happened? Our original bassist told us quite last minute he was going to America.
Right.
And Stephen came in to step in, but we were kind of out of time. But then we liked Stephen, so we just kept him. And I really hope the other guy doesn't see this.
And the rest is history.
I was pre-booked doing the spotlights for CamGlen Capers, so doing that and the band just wasn't possible.
But if it wasn't for Capers, we probably wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
So thanks, Ali Jones.
Yes.
Of course, Ali Jones, absolutely. There was quite a few musicians from around our way could say that, definitely. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really enjoy the album, so all the very best with it.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks a million.
Appreciate
Appreciate the time. Cheers.
And this is The Morning Early and Another Day, Another Century.